Hello, my dear friends. I'm Stanislav Shamayev, a licensed business immigration and corporate attorney here in Miami, Florida. Today, we're going to be discussing the topic of how to choose the right regional center for you in the format of program EB-5, the investment program, in order to get your green card for the entire family very quick. At the end of this video, you'll be able to learn how to get a free evaluation of your case, something that other attorneys call a consultation, and want to charge you $300. Let's go. Okay, so one of the very popular questions I get asked a lot is, Stanislav, how do I choose the proper regional center for EB-5 program passive investment? What I said is Chinese to you, then you probably need to watch more of my videos on this channel to know what EB-5 program is. However, I will still give a short description of this program. EB-5 program has a passive part where you can invest $800,000 in a regional center and get your green card within a year, maybe faster, because there was a reform recently, and the regional centers accept the investments from the foreign investors. A regional center is usually a developer in the US who got a license from the US government to accept those investments in exchange for a green card. A regional center is not like any company in the States. It's specifically a company that was accredited by the US government to participate in EB-5 program. It's already a good sign that EB-5 regional center has a license from the government. There are about 600 regional centers at this point, and of course, for someone who is not aware of what's going on in the industry, it's really hard to pick and choose the proper one, and this video is especially for you. You already must be having the source of funds, meaning that the money that you're going to be investing in the regional center has all the documentation, all the taxes have been paid, and you have all the transactions between the source of funds and your personal account. So I want to see that you made your money legally, that you paid taxes from it, and that the money you want to invest is sitting in your personal account, and we can connect your personal account with the source of funds. And again, I have a bunch of videos specifically on those topics. This is just a short refreshment of what's going on with the criteria for this program. Back to the topic. You have all the 600 regional centers and your mind is probably blowing and you're like, Stanislav, I need some guidance here. Well, first of all, I have a guide where I developed 10 steps you have to take into consideration, 10 criteria, I would say, to analyze any regional center by yourself. However, when you start working with me, we already have a working relationships with a bunch of regional centers that I personally approved or approved the particular projects. When we start working, I organize the meetings between you and regional centers, and they tell you about the projects, about the structure, about the past successes, about the future plans and things like that, a regional center of this particular project. That's the process I built in my company, and the final word is of course yours. You're the one to tell me, Stanislav, I want this regional center or that. How did I come up with, let's say, a short list of regional centers that I think reliable? I will give you the landmarks of regional centers you have to look at in order to do the due diligence yourself. Criterion number one, you have to look how long this regional center has been in business. And I cannot emphasize this enough. This is really important, because if you deal with a regional center that is fresh or it doesn't have any people who have experience in other regional centers, basically they start anew, then you take up a lot of risks that are not necessary. Because if the regional center never done the projects before, it's a fresh one, well, first of all, we don't know who they are. Second of all, we don't know their ethics and their professionalism. And third of all, the problem most important, we don't know if they are real or not. Right? There could be some people trying to defraud the government and everybody, and there are cases like that. It's a rare occasion, but it's possible. So, number one, look at how old is the regional center and how long they have been existing on the market. I would say the best options are regional centers that are in existence more than 5-7 years. Why? Because if that's the case, they have the full cycle of at least one project. Yes, you did hear this right. 5 to 7 years is how long it takes for regional center to complete the cycle from the first project back in the day. So if it's less than that, of course there could be exceptions, but this is a good landmark to look at. Number 2, you have to ask them how many projects they did have and how many of them were successful. And of course you want to hear that they had a bunch of projects. There are regional centers out there who had 70, 80 projects in the history, and all of them were successful, meaning none of them went bankrupt, none of them ran away, so they're in good shape. People getting the green cards, getting the money back, and things like that. Ask them about how many projects they have and what's the success rate for those projects. Number 3, ask them if they have exemplar petition approved for the regional center. If they do, it's not the most important thing to look at, but if they do, that means that the government already approved them to accept the money, and they approved the formal petition that needs to be filed with your case. So ask for that, and if the answer is yes, it's another plus for that regional center. Number 4, you have to make sure that this project has less financial risks as possible, because financial risk, guess what, is number 1 reason why regional center may not do what they have to do. And what we should be looking at this criterion? Well, we have to look at what's the financial structure of the project and if it was fully financed, meaning that the best projects are fully financed without EB-5 money. Yes, if the project has, let's say, developers equity, meaning developers money, let's say they put 40%. If they have other investors, US investors covering 20% and the last 40% covered by the bank credit, that means that whatever happens in the world, unless we get struck by the comet, then this project is gonna be built up and finalized, right? It's fully financed, they don't need any extra money. And you'll be asking them, Stanislav, why then they need EB-5 money? Like, they fully finance the credit, the equity, what's going on here? When you go to the bank and you want to build a big project, well, they're gonna give you an interest on your money. They would want 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, maybe more percent on the money they give you. And the EB-5 money, they go under 1%, maybe 2, 3 max, right? So that's the win-win situation for the developer, for the regional center, is to get cheap money from EB-5 investors. And once they get the EB-5 money, they substitute the exact proportion of the money from the bank loan and ultimately pay less interest on the bank money. So the best thing for the regional center is to substitute as much bank loan money with the EB-5 money to spend less on the project. So I think this is clear, I explained it pretty well. But of course, this is not always the case where the projects are structured this way. In most actually cases, the projects still rely partially on EB-5 investors' money. And if this is the case, you have to look how much equity the developer put in the project. And the bigger the equity, the less the risks in the project. For example, if the developer put more than 50% of his own money into the project, and let's say the rest are for EB-5 money, it's still a pretty good project, because if the developer fails, he's gonna lose all his money on top of what the EB-5 clients are losing. It's in the best interest of everybody that the project is successful. So everybody's going to put the best effort and do the best work to accomplish this. And so everybody gets paid and everybody on EB-5 side gets the green card. The more the regional center relies on EB-5 money and there's less money on the developer side in the project, the higher risks are for the project, because if they don't accept enough EB-5 investors, they won't be able to finance the project. And of course, I know, there's a bunch of exceptions and there's provisions that if we don't get EB-5 money, we get a bank credit and this and that. However, you have to look at this financial structure initially and make a determination based on that. Also, it's very important criterion for me personally, because I represent the best interest for my clients, is when the money will be returned. There are different options, but mostly there are two things that can happen. First of all, you get your second green card. That could be a trigger for the refund of your money. It could be from 4 to 7 years, depending on the situation with immigration services, or it could be just the time frame. no matter what, you'll get your money back in 5 or 7 years. But of course, it's wise to ask for the money back when you get the second green card. So the bottom line here is that your money will be refunded as soon as you get your second green card, and that may happen sooner or later depending on what's going on with the USCIS. And last but not least, and of course there is more, but we're talking about the most important things, is to look at whether you're going to be able to own the equity in this project or it's simply a loan. So the difference between the two is when you have a loan, you will just get your money back. And that's it, you have no option. If it's an equity in the project, you actually become the owner of the project to this certain extent, to this small percent of the equity, and you will be able to keep your investment in this project and get the interest in the future. The amount of the interest is of course much bigger than 1, 2 or 3%. It's actually closer to the market rate of on the investment. So you need to find out if it's a loan or it's an equity. And here again, it's up to you whether you choose one or the other. I think there are good projects with the equity part. However, they do not happen very often. At this moment, as you watch this video, and I would assume it's August 2022, there's one very good project that provides for equity interest in the project with pretty good payback in the future. So if you think you qualify for EB-5 program and you want to participate in that, please go down below this video and find the link with the questionnaire I prepared for you. Fill it out in details and I will give you a free evaluation of your EB-5 case within 48 hours. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, smash the like button if you learned something new, comment, ask questions. I will get to you as soon as possible. This was Stanislav Shamayev, the lawyer of your future. Your future begins here. Good luck.